Resourceful Designer, episode 147, Taking Measure of Your Design Business.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now your host. He thinks the best music is 80s music. Mark DeCote.
Welcome to the first podcast of 2019. In this episode, I'm going to talk about taking the time to review your design business in order to give you the best chance at success this year. But before I get to that, I just want to thank everyone who registered and became a founding member of the Resourceful Designer community. I am so excited to get this thing off the ground, and I'm going to let it run for a little bit of time before I open it up to the public, iron out any bugs and that, and just get everybody involved and get it working the way I want. And then I'm going to open it up to the public, and I will let you know when that time comes. And if you are interested to join at that time, you would be more than welcome. But I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody who did decide to sign up via Patreon before December 31st, 2018, and are now officially and forever a founding member of the Resourceful Designer community. I can't wait to start talking ways to improve and grow our design businesses together. Now, I haven't been up to very much over the past couple of weeks. It was Christmas and New Year's, and I decided to take some time off. I did fool around a little bit on the computer. I ended up doing a logo for a business that my son is starting, so I did that free of charge, of course. This is my son. But that's about the only thing that I did over the holidays. Both my kids were home for the couple of weeks from post-secondary school, so it was nice to have a full house again. But it also meant that I really didn't want to do any work. And I had nothing super pressing. Everything that I had, my clients could wait till January, so I didn't do very much. But on my first day back on the Wednesday, I sat down on my computer, started going through my email, and what did I find out? I lost my longest and biggest client. This is a client that I had from day one when I started my business. I say they're my longest, but that might not be true. I still have some clients that followed me over from the print shop that I used to do work at the print shop, and when I started my own business, they came over. But this client was one of the very first clients I got when I started my business, and they were one of my biggest clients every year since. And I found out on Wednesday that it was a shopping mall that I did all the design work. Everywhere you walk through at the mall, if you saw design that wasn't an individual store's design, but just mall signage, I had a hand in all of that stuff. And I found out that the mall was bought by a new company, and this new company has their own design division. So they thanked me very much for my many, many years of services, but they will no longer be requiring my designs. That hit me a little bit hard, but I am a glass half full kind of guy. And I did mention in the last podcast episode with my look back and look forward that I am starting a niche, or I am going to be focusing on a certain niche along with everything else I do. I'm going to try to concentrate on a little bit more on this one niche. And I'm viewing this as kind of a silver lining type thing, because the time that will be freed up by me not having to work for this one client that I just lost, I'm going to be able to devote that time to the niche that I want to go after. And if things work out the way I'm hoping they will, it'll prove to be much more lucrative than this one client ever was. So that's just the type of person I am. I like to see the silver lining in things, and I'll keep my fingers crossed that it all works out in the long run. So that's been my week so far. Now, like I do in most episodes, I want to share a resource of the week, and I would be amiss if I didn't start off the year talking about my very own 4-week marketing boost. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the 4-week marketing boost, it is a free guide that I put together to help you strengthen your marketing position. It's to boost your brand's awareness and social media presence, and ultimately ensure that you are in tip-top shape to offer the best first impression to potential new clients. I divided this guide into 20 short sections that comfortably fit into your regular day and are designed to take as little time away from your client work as possible. And although you can complete these exercises quickly, it is recommended that you tackle only one per day, spending no more than 30 minutes per task, hence the 4-week marketing boost. And after completing this 4-week plan, you'll be in a better position to present yourself to and to potentially win over new clients. Now, I'm offering this guide absolutely free, and if you don't already have your copy, you can get it by visiting marketingboost.net, or if you are in the USA, you can text the word Marketing Boost, all one word, to 44222. Many designers have thanked me for it and have used it to improve their business's image and to create the best first impression they can to attract more clients. So once again, marketingboost.net, or in the USA only, text Marketing Boost to 44222. And now, taking measure of your design business. Now, whether you're running your design business full-time or if you're running it part-time, you probably started off in the beginning with a vision in your head of what you imagine the ideal design business looks like. Well, take a second and think, how are you measuring up to that original vision you had? Are you exceeding your expectations or are you falling short? If you are exceeding those expectations, do you know why you're exceeding them? What are you doing right? What is contributing to your success? And is whatever you're doing something that you can sustain? Or can you even grow upon it to make things even better this year? Now, if you're falling short on your vision of what the ideal design business should look like, do you know why? Knowing why you're falling short is a major step in rectifying any situation. Now, I'm recording this during the very first week of 2019, and I know it's cliché, but the beginning of a new year is the perfect time to look at your design business to see if it measures up to what you imagine your business should be. And it's also the perfect time of year to make any needed changes in order to, realign, get back on track in case you're not where you want to be. Now, for most people, myself included, the beginning of a new calendar year also means the beginning of a new fiscal year. And that means you have a clean slate in order to start anew this year and start tracking things and comparing things and just improving your business. Now, if you've been in business for a while now, you're not brand new, then you also have a full year under your belt that you can now compare to previous years, depending on how long you've been in business, or something that you can now compare to the year going forward. If I look at my own numbers, I can see that my business, my own personal design business, I didn't really grow in 2018. In fact, if I look at my revenue, I made about $2,000 less in 2018 than what I did in 2017. Now, in the grand scheme of things, $2,000 isn't really that much, and I'm not really worried about it. But it is the first time that I can remember since I started my business that I haven't seen a growth from the previous year. So in my situation, what went wrong? Well, I can tell you that if I look at my invoices at my accounting, I invoiced for more design work in 2018 than I ever have. Not necessarily more jobs, but more revenue was charged for design work. So that's not the issue. But if I keep digging, I see that revenue from print brokering has actually declined this year over previous years. So my design revenue went up, but my print brokering revenue went down. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a good amount of money to be made in print brokering. And if you're thinking of getting into it, I highly suggest you do. In fact, go back and listen to episode 49 of the podcast where I talk specifically about supplementing your design income through print brokering. Now, I haven't dived in exactly to see where things differ, but I can probably pinpoint my loss of revenue to 3 clients that I have. 2 of them decided to go completely digital this year. And their annual report that I usually brokered the printing for they decided not to do a printed version of their annual reports and went solely PDF. So I lost out on that revenue. And there's a yearly festival that I do all the design work for, and they were in a little bit of a financial crunch this year. So they ordered a lot less booklets and pamphlets and posters and other printed material than they have in the past. And between those three clients, that's several $1,000s that I lost in print brokering revenue last year. So now what I have to do is I personally have to take the time to figure out how I can make up for this decline in print brokering revenue going forward, just in case the trend continues. Should I be spending more time promoting the print brokering services that I offer? Or should I concentrate more on getting more design work? As I mentioned, my design revenue went up this year. So should I concentrate more on that and not worry about print brokering? Now, that question is moot. It's entirely up to me to decide what I want to do for my business. But what you need to decide is what you want to accomplish with your design business this year. Now, I don't know your particular situation, so I can't tell you exactly what you need to do for yourself. But I can offer suggestions that may help you grow your business. For one, you should be reviewing all your touch points, your website, your portfolio, your social media channels. Look at all these different places where clients can potentially interact with your business, especially first-time clients, your business card, everything. And have a look at them and see if any of them need to be updated. Now, this is a great opportunity to use my 4-week marketing boost guide that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. It covers most of these touch points. You can also go back and listen to episode 98 of the podcast, where I talk specifically about touch points for your business. So this time of the year is the perfect time to review all those things to make sure that potential clients that are looking for a designer, when they come across your material, it has the best impact and creates the best impression it can in order to entice them to reach out and contact you. Now, the next thing you can do in order to take measure of your business is to review your contract and your proposals. Just read over them. Look to see if there's anything in your contract or your proposals that should be changing. Is there anything that's outdated? Is there anything that should be included? Read over them and make sure that they protect not only you, but they protect your client as well. A good contract should protect equally on both sides. So have a look at them. And if you don't already have a contract, now is the perfect time to get one put together. And I highly, highly suggest you get a lawyer involved. It doesn't cost that much. You can write something up yourself and then just have a lawyer review it and reword certain sections so that you have something to present to your clients. Trust me, it is well worth it. When I started my business, I wasn't using a contract. And now that I am, I feel much more at ease, and it also makes things seem more professional. When you don't have a contract and you're dealing with clients, they kind of take advantage of you, or it might feel that way. But when you do have a contract and they're signing something, they know this is serious. They take you as a professional. You're not just some fly-by-night person who happens to be a little bit creative and that could whip off these things for them. No, with a contract, it shows that you are a professional, you are a business person, and you are serious about what it is you do. So take some time and review your contracts and review your proposals. Now, another thing that this time of year is great for is raising your prices, especially if you are somebody that bills by the hour. Now, I go into more about raising your rates way back in episode 26 of the podcast. But I can tell you through personal experience that when you raise your prices, first of all, most of your current clients won't even bat an eyelash at it. I have raised my prices several times over the years. In fact, January 1st of this year, I tacked on another $5 onto my hourly rate. Now, I don't do a lot of hourly billing. Most of my billing now is value-based or project-based. But I decided to tack on another $5 to my hourly rate for those few cases when I do charge by the hour. And I can also tell you that the higher your rates, the better quality clients you will get. It's true. And I'm not the only one. Many, many designers say the same thing. The higher you charge, the better quality clients. The lower paying clients tend to be a lot of trouble to work with. They want to dictate so much. The more a client is paying you, the more they want you to do the work, and they leave you in charge. And it creates a whole lot of freedom for the designer in that case. So go back and listen to episode 26, where I talk specifically about raising your price to get better design work. Now, another thing you can do at this time of the year is think about any new services you may want to offer, or services you currently offer that you may want to expand upon. Maybe you do web design. Well, do you also offer SEO? Do you offer help with Google AdWords, Facebook ads? If you do graphic design, logo design, and that, do you offer print brokering? Maybe these are services that you offer, but you don't offer them officially, meaning it's not something you advertise that you do. In my case, I don't advertise that I do Facebook ads, but I have done some for some clients just because it came up in conversation and I did it. I know how to do it, so I've done it for some clients, but I don't advertise it. So maybe that's something I should start advertising because I know how to do it and many people don't. I could potentially bring in some extra revenue just by doing some Facebook ads. So look to see if there are any services that you know how to do, or maybe something new you learned that you can now include and offer as a new service for your business. Now, what may seem like a complete opposite to that is narrowing down your focus. The beginning of the new year is the perfect time to consider a niche. Now, when you choose a niche, that doesn't necessarily mean giving everything else up. I mean, some designers do, and they only work in a certain niche. But choosing a niche just means that you're going to focus your attention on one particular area while you're still doing everything else if you want. And that's what I'm going to try doing this year. There is a certain industry that I want to focus upon that I have done some work in the past, but now I want to concentrate on. I want to be known as the expert in that industry. And I'm going to give it a go, see what happens. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give up all my other work. And if anybody else calls me out of the blue, I'm still going to do that. But for my marketing and my client acquisition, I'm going to concentrate a lot on that one particular niche. Now, if you want to know more about niches, I have 2 podcast episodes, episode 54 and episode 93. Both talk about design niches. So have a listen to those if that sounds enticing to you. And finally, just set goals for your business. If you don't have goals, there's no way to know if you're successful. And goals could be anything. Goals can be you want to get 5 new clients this year, or you want to bill a single client for $2,000, or you want to make $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 this year. They could be anything you want, realistic or unrealistic. It doesn't matter, but set goals for yourself. Now, of course, that's not necessarily the SMART goal system if I'm saying set unrealistic goals, but what I'm getting at is if you don't have a goal, how do you know if you're successful? If you don't say, I want to work for 20 clients this year. If you don't set a goal like that, how do you know if you're successful at the end of the year? If you worked for 14 clients, are you going to say, wow, I worked for 14 clients, that's great? Or if you set a goal, you're going to say, well, I fell short. What can I do better next year? If all of a sudden you work for 30 clients, are you going to know that, wow, I exceeded what I had thought of if you don't have a goal? That's why setting a goal for your business and multiple goals is so important. Now, I went into much more detail about goals way back in episode 55 of the podcast. So listen to that one and set your goals so that you have a better chance of success. It also makes it a lot easier to take measure of your business year after year, knowing what your goals were. So those are just some of the things that you can do at this time of year, as January is just starting off, and you take measure of your design business. Now, of course, we all know that there's really no specific time of the year that is best for doing this sort of thing, taking measure of your business. But since most people talk about the January or New Year's resolution or New Year's goals and that stuff, it does make it the perfect time to do it for your business as well. But even if you're listening to this episode in the future, maybe it's April or maybe it's July, whatever time it is of the year, you can still take a bit of time right now and take measure of where things stand for you right now. It's never a bad time to set goals for yourself. It's never a bad time to review your touch points. It's never a bad time to narrow down your focus or to raise your rates. Whatever it is you want to do, it doesn't matter what time of the year. I'm just recording this in January, and it just seems that January, as the new year starts off, everything is fresh. It just makes sense to talk about it at this time. But you can follow this advice at any time throughout the year. And I hope you do. And if you do, I would love to hear about it. How does your business measure up to the vision you had when you first started? And what are you doing to make your business grow? Let me know how things are working for you by leaving a comment for this episode by visiting resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 147 and leaving a comment on the blog post for this episode. Now, I'm not going to be sharing a question of the week this week. I want to get back to work. As I said, it's a short week this week, so I don't want to take a whole lot of time. And I did get some questions in over the holidays, so I have some for the next few weeks, but I still would love to get yours. If you haven't asked your question yet, please visit resourcefuldesigner.com/feedback, where you can submit your question and I will answer it, or at least try to answer it, on a future episode of the podcast. So that's it for this week's episode. I'm going to save the iTunes reviews and everything else for next week when everything's back on track again. I just wanted to get this one out because one of my goals for the podcast this year is at least 48 episodes in 2019, and I didn't think that would be smart to miss week 1. So I'll check this one off, and I'll be back again with you next week to discuss even more ways for you to improve your design business. Until then, I am Mark Decote, wishing you all the best with your design business, and as always, reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.